So today, we're going to rip the LS Miata for the first time, making 500 horsepower. With long tubes tuned and everything, we have not ripped it yet. We're going to rip it, and among other things. But before we get into that, I want to talk to you about today's video sponsor, Omaze. If you use my link, omaze.com/Taylor Ray, you can enter for your chance to win a custom F-250 4-wheel drive, diesel, and $20,000 cash, all while supporting the First Responders Children Foundation, which, I mean, it's a win-win-win. Now, I absolutely love these trucks. If you guys know me, you know I love tow rigs. I'll probably like tow rigs as much as the race cars that they're meant to tow. I just like tow rigs. That's just my thing. I mean, I built an entire truck as a tow rig, and as much as I love my Fummins, nothing, and I'm serious, nothing can beat a 6.7 Ford truck. I've towed with them. They tow beautifully. It's like driving a luxury car, like a Rolls Royce, while hauling a 40-foot trailer. It's insane the way these things drive and tow, and I mean, it's literally a luxury car that you can do anything with. And this is not just some run-of-the-mill 6.7 truck. It was customized by the team at LGE-CTS, so it's got some spicy parts on it. It's a solid unit. I would love to have it. I'd love to have a 6.7 truck one day, but you guys could potentially own it. You could put it in your garage. And $20,000 cash if you're in for your chance to win at omaze.com/Taylor Ray. And I just want to give a thank you to Omaze for sponsoring this video and allowing us to do rowdy stuff with the LS Miata and take it drifting and burn tires. Tires are expensive. So thanks to Omaze for sponsoring this video. Let's get into it. So the LS3 Miata has gone through a lot of changes lately. It's gotten really a ton of upgrades in the past couple weeks. First off, we took it to Salvage to Savage, had them build a custom set of big old long tubes, dual 3-inch titanium exhaust to really wake this thing up and help it breathe. It was choked out like crazy before with cast iron manifolds and a single 3-inch exit. Now it can breathe. So once it could breathe, it was time to take it up to KSR Performance to get it dyno tuned. So we took it up there, had them dyno it. It put down right at 500 wheel horsepower, which is real solid, real solid. So now all that's left to do is to go drift it and see how it is with all the newfound power that we have. But before we can do that, we've got some changes to make. There's some things that had to get moved around with the long tube, some upgrades we need to make everything handle all that newfound power. There's work to be done. So first, we need to get this thing off the trailer. Before we start doing any work on the car, we need to load up and get some tires mounted. All right, 8 tires, check. Now we need 8 wheels. Oh, thought I had one more set of unmounted wheels. I don't. Only got 3 pairs, so we're gonna have to go 6. All right, fully loaded up. Time to go mount them. Normally I'd mount them here at my own place, but I haven't got a tire machine yet. So luckily I have friends with a tire machine. We're gonna go over there, mount the tires, bring them back. That's why it's very nice to have your own tire machine. I will have one soon, one way or another. All right, we made it to Rice and Beans Parts. This is my friend Raldon Josue's shop. Like I said, luckily they have a tire machine. They're gonna let me use it, so let's get to mounting. All right, made it back home. Tires are loaded up in the trailer. As far as tires are concerned, we are loaded up and ready to rip. One thing off the to-do list. Now we need to get this thing up on the quick jacks, get under it, and start tearing in. Let's get to it, boys. So I'm working on getting lifts. That is really soon on the to-do list. It's at the top of the to-do list, basically. But luckily, I never got rid of my quick jacks. I built most of this car, the V1, on these in a 2-car garage, and I'm so glad I hung on to them because I don't have a lift right now, but I got the quick jacks. Quite handy. Anyway, let's go underneath. For those of you who haven't seen the exhaust, it's pretty purty. We already got a scrape on our V-band. No, V-band, no. All right, so anyway, exhaust, boom, boom. Man, I forgot how much it sucks not to have a lift. So first priority, first order of business is our trans mount situation. So to clear the exhaust, Tim built this new trans mount, or modified mine, and he also had to space it down a little bit. As you can see, there's 2 spacers there. Now, when I originally built this car, funny enough, on these quick jacks, I welded these tabs on under the car, like literally just like I am right now. Bolted everything together so it was all in the correct position, then tacked them and welded them on. Well, the bolts are too long to come out from the top. So yeah, can't get the bolts out. Problem is, bolt's too short. You can see the nuts, it's not that far on there. So we need to put longer bolts in, but to get these out, we're gonna have to cut them out. So we're gonna have to unbolt the trans mount, cut the bolts out, get longer bolts, and put them in from the bottom. That is the game plan. So let's get a jack under here and get to it. Oh, I got it out. Oh, this one's not coming out. Oh, that was pretty rough, to be honest. All right, we need to go to Ace. At least the worst part's over. All right, hardware acquired. It's freaking dark. It gets dark so early now. It's so annoying. Bolts for our skid plate stuff. These are our bolts for our trans mount. So let's see if we can get this thing back in with the bolts going the other way and get it all sorted out. I'm just glad I only had to cut one bolt out. I was definitely dreading this. It's like, man, that is gonna suck. Alright, now we've got just a hair of clearance, as it should be. Alright, take the jack out, make it official. Boom! Whole thing falls out. Alright, project number 1. Done. And alright, next up. Lay skid plate. So I built this skid plate forever ago. I just recently kind of reskinned it back here. It had taken some hits and it was wearing out, so I wanted to just give it some more thickness to rub through. So it bolts to the subframe up front and then where the subframe bolts are in the rear, which is what I had to get a bolt for. This side, the header is actually more clearance than before, whereas before it was touching right here. This side needs to be spaced down a little bit. So that's what we've got to do, and that's why we needed a longer bolt. So let's try to make this thing fit and clear our header, because this thing is crucial. This thing will save all of those parts under there, because there's a lot of stuff. I mean, there's oil lines to the dry sump, there's the dry sump, there's the exhaust, like everything under there. So I definitely want to make this fit before I go drift this thing again. You can see what I mean. Lots of oil lines and things in here. Ooh, this one's leaking a little bit. Need to tighten that guy up. But yeah, plus, since I don't have a rear sump pan like it would have if it was wet sump, that would be here, this is super exposed. So if I were to, something were to kind of pop under here, it could just boom, smash into that. So I made this cover plate that keeps like the little stuff out, but something big caught it, that would be no bueno. So anyway, we gotta get the skid plate back on. You can see how this side's almost higher. This side's just a tiny, tiny bit lower. So hopefully we shouldn't need too much spacer to make the old girl fit. Alright, in the future, we are going to do this properly. I'm going to rebuild these legs, but for now, we're clearing like that. Like I said, definitely going to redo these legs, but without a lift, it's going to be so hard to get everything precise and tack it in here. So for now, for this event, this will get the job done. I know it's jank, trust me, I know. I'm having my own moral dilemmas with it. I think it's clearing. Clearing. The only thing that sucks about long tubes, you definitely lose ground clearance, and these are tucked as good as it can possibly get. Sweet, we got our clearance. Alright, next up on the agenda, I want to heat wrap my clutch line. So I have the actual clutch line coming from the master cylinder, you know, to activate the slave cylinder, and then I have this long remote bleeder line so I can bleed the clutch from up here. These two lines, as they go down into the trans, you probably can't see well from up here, but they get really close to the header. It's in the proximity where there's gonna be a lot of heat, so I wanna do my best to try to minimize it and keep it from getting too hot, boiling the fluid. Basically what I'm trying to do right now, I'm sure there will be teething issues with the headers, but there's some things that are definitely gonna be affected by the headers, and I'm trying to figure those things out now, get them sorted out now so I don't have to do it at the track. That's the goal. Again, I'm sure there will be things that I didn't think about that cause problems, but we're gonna try to tackle as much of the stuff as we can, so maybe we'll have an issue-free event and just get to enjoy it, but you know, again, who knows? That being said, let's get some heat sleeve on these. We're going to remove as much of the fluid as we can with just a good old turkey baster. I really need to get a new one. This one does not seal great, so like it dribbles out as you try to transfer it, but it does the job. You can see how dark the fluid is. Basically, because it's an internal slave cylinder, the friction disc material that's floating around in there works its way through the seal and into your fluid. So, I mean, this fluid is fresh a handful of events ago. Last time I pulled the trans out of this thing, it's already like nasty. Not a bad move to change it anyway. Alright, now we can take the lines off. Look at that, no fluid spillage at all. Back up to the loft we go. Heat's leaving. Alright, we need to figure out our length. 10 snips are not the correct tool for cutting this, but I don't know what is the correct tool except a stick. I'm gonna check underneath, just make sure I got it all the way down to where it needs to go, because the most important part is right by the trans. If we don't get it all the way down there, kind of a waste. All right, lines are heat sleeved all the way down to the trans. Went a little high on them, all the way up to there, but hey, I'd rather have too much than too little. So got them clamped back to the firewall here, nice and high, out of harm's way. So all we gotta do is bleed the system now. So with our remote bleeder, we'll just crack this guy. Put this in there. Alright, we'll close it off, see if it's good. You can see it got a little dirty from the fluid that was left in the system, but should be alright. Another thing I want to do before I forget is cut this freaking edge off. This is from when I had 16s on the car and they just smashed the fender, but this thing still kind of likes to eat up tires. So at least trim it up a little bit. I've got new fenders for this car I need to put on. I've just been slacking. I need a grinder. This isn't working. Good as new. Look at that, dude. That is a work of art. Hit me up for custom Miata fender kits. Custom look, high clearance, at an unbeatable price. All right, got the old Miata back on the ground. I've gone through my mental and my physical checklist. I think we're done. I think we got everything that I wanted to get done, and we're good to go. We're ready to rip, ready to load her up in the trailer. But before we load it in the trailer, I want to go take this thing for a proper rip. So I have not driven it since it's been tuned. I drove it with the long tubes and the full new exhaust, but I have not driven it tuned, and I'm sure it's a lot smoother. I'm sure it makes power earlier. I'm sure it probably makes more overall power than before. It should be a whole different animal, and this is kind of its final form. Tuned, long tubes, everything, all the stuff we've been working towards in the last couple weeks is to get it here. And again, I haven't driven it. All I did was a little second gear pull and then put it on the trailer and headed home because it was getting late. So I am really excited to drive this thing. I just wanted to get all this stuff sorted before I went and thrashed it. So now that everything's done, it's time. Let's go rip it. All right, boys. Luckily, I've met both my neighbors now, and they're both super cool. My one neighbor bought a project car and did a burnout on the street when he got back. Good neighbors. It's funny how well this thing Well, boys, she's a ripper. She is an absolute ripper. God, I can't wait to take it on track. Driving it on the street, you know, you're always kind of on edge and trying not to push it too hard, but just full tilt in this thing is gonna be insane. It's gonna be insane. I don't know that I've definitely driven cars with this much power. I've never had my own car with this much power, and I mean, it's pretty light for making 500 wheel. It weighs like right at 2,500 pounds, which is heavier than it should be, but that's not the point. Solid unit. Solid unit. Did I mention it's a solid unit? All right, well, this thing is a certified ripper. I said it before. I'm so excited to drift this thing. I'm so excited to be able to just romp on it as hard as I want. I feel like I got to be so tame right now, which I really probably should on Mexico's public roads. But I think definitely past this point, I won't go any crazier with this car. I don't think there's any point. It's kind of at its limit now. Like, it's pretty nuts, honestly. It's one of the most intense, if not the most intense vehicle I think I've ever driven. And I've driven some pretty cool stuff, but it's just visceral. It is wild. Tires spinning, shaking your chest, you downshift, it backfires. It feels incredible. I can't believe this is my car. Like, it's so cool. It's so cool. But anyway, I could jabber on and on and on, but I'm in love with it. I'm in love with the tune. I'm in love with the exhaust. I can't wait to drift it. I really can't. So anyway, all that's left to do before we can do that is load the dang thing up. So I gotta get the truck hooked up to the trailer, pull the trailer out, get everything loaded up, get the car in there. Alright, car is loaded up. We are ready to go have some fun. I can't even describe how excited I am for this. I mean, the difference from the G8 manifolds to the headers on the 6.2 feels like a bigger difference than when I went from the 5.3 to the 6.2, which you would think would be a much bigger difference than just putting headers on this motor, right? It really woke this car up. It is a whole new beast, a whole new animal, and I just can't wait to drive it and feel what it's like. It's going to be a blast, so I hope to see you guys for that, but for now, that's going to be it for this one. Thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, goodbye. Can't forget the old campus lab. Also, guys, don't forget to check out omaze.com/Taylor Ray to enter for your chance to win a custom F-250, $20,000 cash, all while supporting the First Responders Children's Foundation.